This video is going to be on area of polygons. So these are the types of questions that you'll see in Common Core geometry. I'm going to go through the odds. So in question number 1, they're giving you the dimensions of the base and the height of a triangle, and they want an expression to represent the area. This is very straightforward. Substitute into the formula. Area is half base times height. So you have your base, you have your height. Half base times height is choice 4. Taking a look at number 3, you're given the, they want the area of this garden. So you have to problem solve. So number 1, all right, they're asking you to find the area to the nearest square foot. You have to pay attention to those details. So I have this dimension, that's 6, and I need to get this dimension here. Okay, they told us in the stem of the problem that you have a rectangular backyard and a rectangular garden, therefore you can assume right angles. So you will be able to use the Pythagorean theorem looking at this triangle right here. So I have this dimension is 80, this is 70, therefore this is 10. This dimension is 40, this dimension is 15, therefore this is 25. So I have to do, this side is going to be the square root of 10 squared plus 25 squared. So you can type that into your calculator. All right, I'm going to pause and I'm going to type that into my calculator. So I did the Pythagorean theorem, which, as you know, is a squared plus b squared is c squared. Okay, you are allowed to skip forward the way I did, because all you're going to be doing to get c is getting the square root, okay, which is exactly what I have here. So I typed that into my calculator and I got this 26.9258. I multiplied that by 6 because the area is length times width, and then I rounded to the nearest whole. So when it says nearest square foot, that means the nearest whole number. So it's 162 square feet approximately. Okay, let me move on to number 5. So question number 5, they give you the length of a side of a square and they want an expression to represent the area. So you have 2x minus 1 times 2x minus 1. You can use FOIL. You can also do it in your head. By the end of next year, you will certainly be proficient at doing it in your head. So 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times negative 1. Negative 1 times 2x. Negative 1 times negative 1. You can see that simplifies to choice 4. Number 7, what is the area of a square whose perimeter is 12x? Well, if the perimeter is 12x, that means each side is 12x divided by 4 or 3x. So when you go to get area of a square is side squared, so it's 3x times 3x, which is 9x squared. These questions are more algebra than geometry, in my opinion, because you're using algebra to get to the answer. Sure, you need to have some basic idea of geometry as well, but the idea of geometry is something that was established when you were in elementary school / middle school for these problems. So this lesson is really the marriage of the two of those, of middle school and 9th grade math, 9th grade algebra. Number 9, Kira has a square poster that she's framing and placing on her wall. The poster has a diagonal of 58. Now keep in mind there's right angles because you have a square. So the poster has this diagonal 58 and fits exactly inside the frame. The width of the frame around the picture is 4. Okay, so we know these two sides are the same. We can also use the fact that this triangle is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So that means that each of these sides is 58 divided by square root of 2. And we want to determine the area of the poster and the frame. So we want the entire area. So you'd have 58 over square root of 2 plus 4 plus 4. That would be the dimensions of one side. 58 over square root of 2 plus 4 plus 4. So on my calculator, I'm going to type in 58 over square root of 2 plus 8 squared. And then I'm going to round that answer to my nearest centimeter. So I type this into my calculator, and I want to round to the nearest tenth of a square centimeter. So this was 2402.195, etc. To go to the nearest tenth, I just focus on the 9, and the 9 makes the 2 round up to a 3. Squared centimeters. Okay, so that's number 9. Number 11. The dimensions of a rectangle are 4 and 16. What is the smallest integral value that could be the side of a square that has an area larger than that of the rectangle? Okay, so first you start off, you have this rectangle that's 4 by 16. We want the smallest integral value that could be the side of a square that has an area larger than that of the rectangle. So if you look at the area of this rectangle, the area of this rectangle is 4 times 16. 4 times 16 is 64. Well, 8 squared is 64. But we want the smallest integral value that could be the side of a square that would have a larger area. So the smallest integral value would be 9, because 9 squared is 81, which is greater than 64. Okay, by integral value, they're talking about an integer. Okay, let's move on to number 13. Yes, I agree the language in that question was tricky. So number 13, Mr. Santana wants to carpet exactly half of his rectangular living room. He knows that the perimeter of the room is 96 and the length of the room is 6 feet longer than the width. So you've done these types of problems in middle school. So you have the length is 6 feet longer than the width. So W is the width, therefore the length is 6 feet longer. So it's W plus 6. Okay, so we have to get the dimensions, and then we're going to cut those dimensions in half to get the carpeting. The perimeter is 96, so you have twice the width plus twice the length equals 96. You're going to solve this equation. So you get 84 divided by 4, okay, which is 21. So that's W. So now if you look at your rectangle, okay, let's say this is 21, this would be 27. And I'm going to multiply that and divide by 2 because he only wants to carpet half of his living room. So I typed into my calculator 27 times 21 divided by 2, and therefore Mr. Santana needs 283.5 square feet of carpeting. Number 15, they're giving you the equation for the area of a trapezoid. They want to know which calculation would not result in the correct area. So this is actually elementary mathematics. It's just a matter of where can you put this 2 in the 1/2. So you can put the 2 in the denominator, so that would be correct. We want to know which one would not be correct. I guess they forgot to italicize this, or probably got imported that way. You can also just divide the 12 by 2 and then multiply it by the 3 plus 7. That is fine. Okay, you can also divide, let's see, so you have a half of 12 times 10, that's fine, so they added the 3 and the 7. So the only one that won't work is choice 4, because in that case you'd actually be dividing by 4. Take a look at number 17. So the circumference of the circle is 16 pi. Well, circumference is 2 pi r. So 2 pi r is 16 pi. Those pi's will cancel out. 2r is 16 means that r is 8. So it says the length of BC is 3/4 the length of diameter AD. Well, the diameter is 16. So therefore, the length of BC is 3/4 times 16. The hat off means length. So you get 12. So BC is 12. And then they tell us that CE is 4. We already know that this diameter is 16. And the formula is half height times base 1 plus base 2 for the area of the trapezoid. We want square inches. So now I have half. My height is 4. My bases are the two sides that run parallel. So I can just make this 2 times 28 or 56 square inches. Thank you.